my name is Chelsea and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I am going to be telling you guys the 25 bookish facts about myself. Something that went around a while ago that I believe was a tag, but it was before I was on BookTube. And since I am sick, which you can probably tell from my voice right now, I thought this would be something fun that I could do to tell you guys a little bit more about myself. So let's just get into it. I have actually lost count of the most times I have reread a book. However, I do know it is way over 10, and that is for Stephen King's It. The first time I read that book was actually in 8th grade, and in case you guys don't know, that is a book that most 8th graders are probably not ready to read, and because I was reading it in school, my mom actually had to go and meet with a teacher to discuss my reading habits. But my mom was perfectly fine with that. She knew exactly what I was reading. My first crush was not on somebody that I knew in real life or even a celebrity like a lot of people have. It was actually on a fictional character, Gilbert Blythe, from the Anne of Green Gables series. I currently work at Barnes & Noble. It is somewhere I have actually worked in the past, but I took a break to go do something else, and when I decided to move jobs again, I decided to go straight on back to Barnes & Noble. It's been one of the best jobs I've ever had. I own over 1,000 books. However, I believe close to 200 of those are actually unread. Before I could drive, my grandmother was actually the only person who would take me to the bookstore. That's mostly because she was the only person patient enough to wait while I looked at books for hours trying to decide what I wanted to read. Twilight came out when I was in high school, and I have all of my books signed by Stephenie Meyer. Besides Stephenie Meyer, I have also met Maggie Stiefvater at a book signing. When I discover a new genre or author I like, I usually go on a binge reading those types of books. I rate all of my books on Goodreads based on my emotions. I do take into account the quality of the books. However, I am more likely to rate a book higher if I am emotionally connected to the characters or the plot. I will heavily weigh my enjoyment over those technical aspects. Books that make me laugh or books that make me cry are most likely my favorites. When I am feeling bad or having a bad day, even buying one book makes me happier. Retail therapy, am I right? When I was in the 6th grade, we actually had an entire unit on The Hobbit. We read the book, we watched the animated movie, and we also listened to the radio play. I read 100 books a year. I am very anal about my books. I do not read my hardcovers with the dust jacket on, I try not to break the spine, and I keep them away from all liquids. I lent out my original copy of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, and it was returned to me without the dust jacket and heavily water damaged. I actually still have that exact copy on my shelves, and it has been that way since around 2001. Because of those things, I actually only allow one person to borrow my books. I have to have all of my books match. That means if I start buying a series in paperback, I need to have them all in paperback. I actually have some series that I have never finished reading because I'm still waiting for a book to come out in the paperback version. If I was ever grounded as a child, I was actually grounded from reading, whereas my brother and sister were allowed to read but grounded from everything else. The first book that I have ever finished and had to immediately pick up and start over was Trying to Live with the Dead from the Vale Diaries series by B.L. Brunimer. I have actually done this with most of her other books in this series as well. I used to really dislike ebooks for myself until I was taking a trip to China a little over a year ago and discovered some new independent authors that I absolutely fell in love with. I read an average of 100 pages an hour. This is especially true for young adults. Adult books can take me a little bit longer. One of my husband's and my favorite things to do is sit on the couch next to each other and read our individual books. We really just like to be in the same space, but doing our individual reading. He reads things that I'm just not into. In both adult and young adult books, my 5 favorite genres are science fiction, fantasy, paranormal romance, horror, and shoujo manga. So I guess that's it. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, if you had any questions or wanted to talk about anything that I mentioned today, please leave me a comment down below. I would love to hear from you. Otherwise, I will have a new video up on Monday. Bye!